nothing but just arranging elements in ascending, descending, or alphabetical order. Okay. Here we take an unordered list. It consists of four elements, uh, 4, 2, 1, and 3. This is an unordered list. We need to arrange them in ordered list. Right? So in this, we'll compare every element with the other element and we'll take the Boolean value. Okay. Here 4 is less than 2. So 4 is less than 2. It is false. That's why we have assigned the Boolean value 0 and it compares with other elements. So the position of 4 will be 0 in the list. Okay. Next, we'll compare the second element in the list, that is 2. 2 is less than 4. It is true. That's why we assigned 1. 2 is less than 2. It is false. That's why 0. 2 is less than 1. So we assigned 0 as it is false. 2 is less than 3. It is true. That's why the value is 1. We need to calculate by adding the position, by adding all the ones in the Boolean values. Okay. Of the Boolean values. Okay. So we get the position as 2. 2 will be inserted in the position 2. Okay. In down we have an array. In that we are arranging the elements. I mean, we'll assign the elements in that position. Okay. Here we are arranging elements in descending order, 4 to 1. That's why we took the less than symbol. If we want to arrange in ascending order, we'll take greater than symbol. Next, element in the list is 1. 1 is less than 4. It is true. That's why that's why 1. 1 is less than 2. It's true. So we assign Boolean value is 1. 1 is less than 1. It is false. That's why 0. 1 is less than 3. So it is true. That's why we get value 1. So if we add up all these values of 1, we'll get 3. So uh, the position of 1 will be at A of 3. Okay. And it is similar to 3 also. This is how we'll do the enumeration sort. Just we'll compare every element in the list in order to calculate the position of the elements in the list. Okay. Next page. So here is a slight little definition done by comparing each element with all the other elements and finding the number of elements having the smallest value. This is the enumeration sort. And here is an algorithm. Uh, Here Cij is nothing but we are assigning Boolean values, right, for every element. That is Cij. And for each process, the comparison expression is as follows. If a of I is less than a of j, or a of I is equal to a of j, and also I less than j, then we'll assign C of j is equal to 1. Otherwise, we are giving the value 0. For each process Pij, this is the last statement is for printing the array in the sorted way. That is enumeration sort. Okay. Next sorting technique is even odd transposition sort. These are all sorting techniques which are used in concurrent program. In this sort, if we take this example, this is a kind of bubble sort. We'll just compare two adjacent numbers. First, we'll start with first two adjacent numbers, that is odd phase we'll call. And in the next phase, we'll go for even sort. That is from second element we'll start. That's why it is called even phase. In odd phase, we'll take first two numbers starting from the first element, that is odd phase. In this even phase, we'll compare taking the element in the second position. From that, we'll take two adjacent numbers. That is the even phase. So, in the above list, 9, 7, 3, 8, 5, 6, 4, 1 were the elements given. First, we'll take two elements, 9 and 7. Okay. Two adjacent elements as a pair will take in order to compare. Here we are arranging in increasing order. Okay. So 9 is greater than 7. So we'll switch. There will be an exchange between 9 and 7. 7 will come to first place and 9 to second place. And 3 and 8 were compared. So they were in sorted order, that is in ascending order. So they were left unchanged. 5 and 6 were also in sorted order. So they were left unchanged. 4 and 1, we need to exchange as 4 is greater than 1. That is the odd phase. In the second, we'll go for even phase. We'll compare two adjacent elements starting from the second position. So 9, 3, as 9 is 9, 3, as 9 is greater than 3, we'll swap 3 and 9. Okay. 8 and 5. So as 8 is greater than 5, we'll be swapping both the elements. 6 and 1, both the 6 is greater than 1. So we'll swap 1 and 6. And 4 is left unchanged because there is no comparison. Okay. That is the even phase. Next, we go for odd phase. This continues till all the numbers were in sorted order. Alternative. Every time this even odd transposition starts with an odd phase. That is the mandatory rule. Okay. We'll see the algorithm for it. Even odd transposition. Okay. Here we'll run a for loop. For odd phase, we have one exchange function. Okay, the details of this function were not given. Just we'll swap. In this function, we'll swap both the numbers. That is for odd phase, and the second one is if I mean for first phase we'll start with odd phase. That's why if I is odd and ID is also odd, then we'll go for odd phase exchange. Else, if I is even, we'll go for even phase exchange, even phase. Okay. That is the algorithm. Okay. Next, next sort is parallel merge sort. This parallel merge sort follows divide and conquer rule. Initially, the list is divided into sub elements, and later the comparison is done. between the smallest elements and we'll merge the list. That is, first we'll divide the list and then merge the list so that we'll get sorted list. It implements parallelism by following divide and conquer algorithm. Okay, and the algorithm for it as okay, we'll see the example here. 6293 is the list given. Initially, it was divided into list of two elements, and then it is further divided into list of one element each. Okay, this is the smallest list, okay, for the given list. And later the 6 is compared with the 2. So as 6 is greater than 2, we need to swap and make into one list, one sublist. And here these two, 9 and 3 were compared. As 9 is greater than 3, we'll swap 9 and 3. So we'll get the sublist as 3 and 9. Now these two sublists were compared together, okay, one after the other. We'll get the sorted list as follows: 2, 3, 9. Sorry, here I wrote wrong. 6, 9. This is the sorted order. Okay. And the algorithm for it as follows. Um, this takes 4 input values: parallel merge sort algorithm, ID, N, data, and new data. New data is for saving the sorted out list. Here for dimension, I is equal to n to n. Dimension in the sense, I mean, the size of the array. Okay, and it is given to um, parallel merge sort function. Okay, dimension and data, and this function returns data. Okay, at the end we'll print the sorted out list. That is the simple algorithm for this parallel merge sort. Next one is hyper quick sort. It is similar to quick sort in data structures. Initially, the list is divided into two equal sublists, and these sublists in stage one, the list is divided into two sublists, P1 and P2. In stage two, internal sort will be done between these two sublists. Okay. In P1, these are the elements, and these were sorted in the ascending order 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 11, 13, and 15. Similarly, the second sublist is also sorted out. P2 is also sorted out. And in stage 3, we'll take a pivot element in P1 sublist, and then we'll compare elements after 8, that is pivot element, we'll compare with the second list. Those elements which were less than 8 will be swapped with the elements which were swapped with the elements in the P1 sublist which are greater than 8. Here 11, 13 and 15 were greater than 8, and in the second sublist P2, 4, 2, 6 were less than 8. So these three elements were swapped with 11, 13 and 15. Okay, in the stage 3 we'll get the sublist as follows. Okay, initially I'll explain again. Initially, the the given unordered list is divided into two equal sublists, P1 and P2. In this is the stage 1. In stage 2, we'll perform an internal sort between these two sublists. We'll arrange either in the ascending or descending order. Here we arranged in ascending order, and in stage 3 we'll take a pivot element in list 1, P1. Here just the middle element 8 is taken as a pivot. Those elements which were less than 8 in the P2 were swapped with the elements greater than 8 in the P2 P1 list. Okay, in stage 3, after performing this, we'll get the operation like this. We get the sublist like this: 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. After 8, we have 2, 4, 6, which are less than 8. Now, in stage 4, we again perform this operation as we have done in the stage 1. That is, we'll partition the list, partition the list further into sublists, so that each sublist contain equal number of elements. Okay, here it is divided into list of 4 elements, and again this same as stage 2 will perform internal sort again. Okay, after internal sort we'll take a pivot element, and the elements which are greater than pivot element in the first list were exchanged with the elements less than pivot element in the second list. Okay, and similarly we'll take another sublist. Here P1 and P2 if we take in stage by, if you see, first two sublists were compared by taking 5 as a pivot element. In the in the third and fourth sublist, 9, 11, 13, 15, and 10, 12, 14, 16. 13 is taken as pivot element and it's exchanged with 10, 12 with 15 in the P3 sublist. Okay. So at stage 6, we'll get the list as follows. Okay. In again, this is repeated. So the internal sort is done. Now we'll see here all the elements were sorted out in ascending order. We'll do this first in hyper quick sort. The given list is first divided into two lists, two sublists, and we'll perform internal sort. Okay, that is second step. And the third step will take a pivot element and will swap with the elements in the other list, so which are less than the pivot element. Okay, these are the three main steps. It was performed. I mean, it was iterated many times. So in order to get the sorted list, this is the hyper quick sort. And the steps are as follows. First, uh, the list is unsorted list is divided, and the second step is sort out each node locally in the sublist. Okay, from partition 0, that is the first partition, will broadcast the median value. Median value is nothing but the pivot element, and split each list locally, then exchange the halves across the highest dimension. That is, we'll compare pivot element with the second list, so that elements which are less than the pivot element will be exchanged with the elements greater than the pivot element in the first list. This will repeat until the list is sorted out. That is the hyperquick sort. Okay. Next topic is searching. Okay. Searching, as the word itself says, in order to find a element in a list, we'll do this searching operation. In concurrent programming, we have four searching operations: divide and conquer, depth first search, breadth first search, and best first search. These are the four uh, four methodologies in the concurrent programming. Um, First one is divide and conquer. Here we'll divide the problem into subproblems, and the subproblems are solved in a recursive manner, and the solution is combined to get the solution. Okay, these are the steps in divide and conquer. Example for it is as follows. Another page, sir. Here we need to find the element 25. Okay. Um, in this array, we have 13 elements, starting with index 0 and ending with 12, index 12. Okay. So the lowest index is 0, we'll take, and the highest is 12. We'll need to calculate mid. Mid is nothing but low plus high by 2. Here the mid value, the index value is 6. This is the mid value. We'll compare this 25 element with the element present at index 6. So here A of 6 is equal to 16. So 25 is greater than 16. One thing here is, here we took sorted list. Okay. The elements are arranged in ascending order here. On this this searching techniques, that is divide and conquer, when in divide and conquer we'll take a sorted list. That is the criteria here. Okay, here 25 is, obviously 25 is greater than 16, so the 25 will be in the upper half of the list. Okay, so we need to calculate the low value. So low value, that is mid is equal to, sorry, low is equal to mid plus 1. For another recursion of such, we need to take, so we'll calculate the low value. So mid is equal to, sorry, low is equal to mid plus 1, that is 6 plus 1 is equal to 7. Now in the so we eliminate the search in the second half. We need to search the element in the upper half of the list. Okay, so low, again we need to calculate the mid value here. 7 plus 12, that is 9. That is, we'll take the integer value. 19 by 2 is 8.5. Sorry, 9.5. As we'll take integer value 9. So we again compare the element at 9. So 25 is less than 49. So 25 will be in the lower half of the list. So we need to calculate here high value. Okay, the sublist is as follows. Okay, high value is equal to mid minus 1, that is 8. Now again here the sublist is A of 7 and A of 8. If we calculate the mid value, we'll get 7. So A of 25 is found at the position 7. This is how divide and conquer will be applied here. We are dividing the list into sublists in order to find the solution of a problem. Okay, this is divide and conquer. The algorithm for divide and conquer is as follows. Divide and conquer is nothing but binary search in our data structures. Okay, here A, B, low, high were the inputs to this function. If low is greater than high, I mean, when we calculate, when we are calculating the low and high values in the list, if in case low, if we get low is greater than high, then we need to return not found, element not found. Okay, else we'll calculate the mid value, low plus high by 2. If b is equal to key of mid, b is equal to key of mid, then return key of mid. Else if we'll go for other iteration. Okay, if we don't find the value, we go for other iterations. Okay, that is how we'll do this divide and conquer method. The next searching technique is DFS, depth first search. It is algorithm for searching a tree or an undirected graph. Okay, here we start from root and search as far as possible to the end of the branch. Okay, we'll go to the depth of the tree or a graph. Okay, that is depth first search. We have a small example here. In this graph, okay, this is how this is a traversing, how we traverse the tree using depth first search. This is an example for that. Okay, it uses the stack, that is FIFO, first in first out mechanism. um, okay, if how this is how we traverse the graph. We'll see how we'll traverse. First one is from 1, it will go, the search goes to 2 and then 4. If as 4 don't have any subtrees, it will go in reverse and go to the parent node of 4. If it searches for I mean other subtrees, then it traverses to 5 and as 5 doesn't have any subtrees, it will go back. Okay, and go back to 2, and from 2 it will go back to 1, from 1 again to 3, and 3 to 6. As 6 don't have any subtrees, it will go back to 3. Okay, and again as 3 has I mean other subtree, right subtree also is there, so 7, it will traverse to 7. Okay, that is the end of the search. This is how searching will take place in depth first search. See how this we'll see how it will be implemented using stack. First it will push 1 and 1 is written in the array. Okay, as it traverses 1, it will 1 is printed in the array, and from 1 will go to 2. So 2 is whatever element we push onto the stack, it will be printed in the array. Okay. And from 2, it is going to 4. So we'll push 4 into the stack and print in the array 1, 2, 4. Okay. As 4 don't have any subtrees, we'll pop out 4 from the stack. So when it comes to 2, as 2 has subtree, I mean 2 has other child, eh, I mean right child. Okay. So we'll push 5 and 5 is printed on the stack. Sorry, printed in the array. Now, as 5 don't have any subtrees, we'll pop out 5. Okay. As 2, as all the subtrees, all the children of 2 were traversed, we'll pop out 2 also. And it will go to 1. Okay. As 1 is having subtree 3, we'll push the 3 and print out that element in array. Okay. As 3 also have subtrees 6 and 7, we'll push 6 initially as 6 and print that 6 in the array. Now 6 don't have any subtrees, so we'll pop out 6. And other child for 3 is 7. So we'll push that 7 into the stack and print that 7 in the array. Okay. And finally, as all the elements were traversed, we'll pop out every element out of the stack. And that is remaining elements are 3 and 1. We'll pop out that. This is how DFS is performed. And the steps for DFS are: first, the root node that is not visited previously, it is marked, we'll visit that root node and it is marked visited. Okay. Visit the first adjacent successor node and mark it visited. Adjacent successor node in the sense will always start from left subtree. Okay. Um, if the successor nodes of the considered node are already visited or it doesn't have any more successors, then return to parent node. Okay. Okay. 1 minute. Screen sharing was stopped. Here in DFS, when there is no successor, it will return to the parent node. That is the DFS. Okay. The algorithm for DFS, sir, next page. Mm, okay. Algorithm, please share algorithm. for DFS. Not this one. After this, not this one. Okay, yeah. The inputs for DFS is the graph and the vertex. Okay. We have initialized tag to, I mean, null initially. For each vertex u, set visited u is equal to false. Initially, we'll set all the vertex visited as false value. Okay. Then we'll push s comma u. That is, u is the vertex which is visited. We'll push that u into the stack. While s is not empty, we'll pop out all the elements. If not visited, we'll make the, I mean, array in the array as, I mean, we'll mark that element as true if not visited. Okay. We'll run a for loop so that we'll we'll I mean we'll sorry we'll run a for loop for every unvisited node in the graph so that every element is pushed onto the stack. Whatever the element is pushed onto stack, it indicates that it is being visited. That is the DFS algorithm. Okay. Next one is breadth first search. This follows uh, in breadth first search, we'll search for the element at level wise. Here, root is at level 1, 2 and 3 are at level 2, and 4, 5, 6 are 7 elements are at level 3. Um, Here, we'll just traverse the tree in breadth wise. Okay, level wise. We can say it also as level wise. This follows first in first out method, that is queue. We'll use queue for knowing whether the element is being traversed or not. We'll element this breadth first search using queue. Okay. Um, Initially, one is inserted into queue. The children of one were also inserted into the queue. Okay. That is how we'll implement this breadth first search. Okay. As one is, um, one is inserted, we'll take it into array. In the second step, when 2 is inserted, we'll take it into the array. When 3 is inserted into the queue, 3 is stored in array. Whatever the element we traverse, we store it in array. Mm. When the children of one are traversed, one is deleted from the queue. Okay. After one is deleted from the queue. Okay. When the children of one were traversed, one is deleted from the queue. Now, if you take 2, the children were 2 were 4 and 5. Okay. So 4 and 5 were inserted. and they were also stored in the array 4 and 5. As the children were of 2 were traversed, the 2 is deleted from the queue. Now the next element that is inserted in queue is 3. So the children of 3 were 6 and 7. So they were inserted into the array 6 and 7. So the 6 and 7 were also stored in array. Okay. The children of 3 were 6 and 7. They were inserted in the queue. Now, um, all the nodes in the second level were traversed. Now we'll go to the third row. As 4 doesn't have children, we'll delete from the queue. 5, if you take, it will check for any children were present or not. So it is deleted from the queue. And 6, um, it will also check for children for 6 and 7 subsequently. Then as they don't have any children, they were deleted from the queue. This is how breadth first search is implemented using queue. Okay. Once again, I'll say initially 1 is inserted into the queue. Okay. And it is printed in the array. The children of 1 were 2 and 3. They were also inserted in the queue and they were stored in the array. Whatever the elements that were traversed, we'll store them in an array. As the children were 2 and 4, sorry, children of 2 were 4 and 5, we'll insert them into the queue and 2 will be deleted from the queue. And we'll go to 3. The children of 3 were 6 and 7. They were inserted in the queue and deleted from the queue. And they were stored in array. And the next, it goes to next level. It will check for all the children for 4, 5, 6, and 7. As they don't have any, they were deleted from the queue. Okay. As there is no another level to traverse the tree. Here we start with a node and then visit all the adjacent nodes in the same level. It is also known as level by level search. Okay, this breadth first search is also known as level by level search. It is also used for searching a tree or undirected graph. Next page. Okay. Um, the steps for the BFS were as follows. We'll start with a root node and mark it visited. As root node has no one in the same level, we'll go to the next level. We'll visit all the adjacent nodes and mark them visited. Continue this process until all nodes are visited. Here we'll take, the input for breadth first search is graph and vertex. We'll have queue, which is initialized to empty. For each vertex u, set visited u is equal to false. For all the nodes in the graph, will initially set as false. Okay. We'll do insert operation G, comma B, while Q is not empty. When Q is not empty, we'll delete the element. Okay. After when the When the children of the node were traversed, will delete the element. If not visited, then visited is equal to true. Okay. For each unvisited neighbor W of U, insert Q comma W. This is how we'll do this BFS. Okay. Tomorrow we'll see this BFS as time is up also. Okay. Tomorrow we'll see BFS and also the other topics in this chapter. Okay. Thank you.